ACDC, Sarah's story. Is it like your story? We'll find out today live.
I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains and wipe away every stain. That I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed.
The 5th day of August in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. It's a Monday, so we're on Recovery Monday today. An opportunity for someone to share that story, that DNA with her greater power, only for the purpose of something being said that maybe you need to hear. And that's what we're going to do today. Papa Tattoo is in the production booth. Of course, Lila, back from your dance hall girl days up in Vegas. Did you make the cut?
Yeah, it was great.
Did you get the job?
Not there.
Not there. Oh, okay. A buddy of mine said that he went to Nashville one time to be a backup singer, and the only thing the producer kept saying was, back up! Back up! And Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat today, and my special guest is Sarah. You will not see Sarah. This is one of those times, and if you've listened to me over the years, you know that I know the people who come on this program, whether they be webcast or radio. Sometimes their anonymity is extremely important to them, but yet they want to share their story. Well, that's easy for us to do here. We just don't put the cameras on them, and we use a name, so you'll refer to her as Sarah. But I promise you that her story is completely true, completely transparent, and is here to help you deal with some of life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Now, you may not be that person who is suffering, but someone in your family is. You know that. If there are 10 people sitting in a pew on Sunday, one of you is probably alcoholic or drug dependent. There's a good chance that almost one of you is into pornography. That would be a male, most likely. And in the 21st century, there's someone who is struggling with sexual orientation, either themselves or someone within their family. So it's the hurts, habits, and hang-ups in life that stop us from knowing and having a relationship with our greater power, our creator. I call mine Jesus. Doesn't matter what you call yours. What matters is you have a connection and a relationship with them. And these stories so many times can help you bring you closer to that creator of yours. So Sarah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You bet. Thanks for being here. So where's home?
Home is Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, so you graduated from school here in Des Moines.
I did.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a writer. I think my ideal job was to work at Meredith and as an editor, writer in a magazine publication.
Okay. And when did alcohol enter your life?
Alcohol was a huge part of my life starting from age 15 on.
Okay, that's when you took your first drink?
Oh, my first drink was probably more at the age of 13.
Okay. Was alcohol prevalent in your lifestyle, in your home, in your family?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Was it a destructive tool at that time, or did it seem something fun?
Looking back, I see it as destructive because once I took that first drink at the age of 13, it was something I wanted to do again, and it became my focus. So while I didn't start habitually drinking until I was 15, it was destructive. I didn't really reap any bad I didn't have any real repercussions at the time. Consequences, yeah. Right.
It's interesting, as I've spent the last few years of my life in and around the rooms of 12-step programs, people who tried alcohol in that time in their life, 11, 12, 13, 14, as they were educated on their alcoholism, they can recall that first drink and that first taste and the way it felt going down the throat. And they didn't know at that moment, but they could look back now and say, I'm an alcoholic. From the first moment I took that drink.
Absolutely.
So was it just party girls? Was it just keeping up with the Joneses or what?
Absolutely. It seemed like everyone I knew drank, from my family to my extended family to people at school. I was the youngest of 5 children, so all of my older siblings drank and partied, and it was the thing to do. It was the norm. It was something that at the time I aspired to do and do a lot because that would have meant that I was cool.
Ah, so it was a peer pressure thing.
Absolutely.
How was it accepted? Well, let's back up. When was the first time that you came home intoxicated?
Probably around the age of 15.
Okay, and your mother or father found you? Or was it a sibling?
I got away with it at home.
Okay.
Like I said, there was no real fallout for me. I do remember once when I was probably a senior in high school, I had thrown up during my sleep, and my mom came to wake me up because I was covered in vomit. And sorry, pardon me, and basically woke me up and said, why did you throw up during the night? And I made up some excuse about how I'd eaten some bad casserole before I'd gone to bed, and that was really the only question that she asked of me. What
do you recall? What was self-revealing for yourself for that incident?
Self-revealing in the way that...
Is it I just got away with it, or is it, oh my God, I've got such a problem that I could throw up all night all over myself and not even wake up?
I didn't even see it as a problem. I was proud that I hadn't thrown up at the party because a lot of people had. We'd been doing shots of hard liquor. And so I was one of the few that didn't throw up during the party. So I was somewhat proud of myself.
Little badge of honor there.
Yeah, that I didn't throw up.
Common. I was home. I mean, if you don't throw up in front of a bunch of kids, even if you do, it's no big thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just part of getting drunk at that age.
Right.
I hate to tell you, but even going one step further into the nightclub business, if you didn't throw up once or twice at night, you weren't going to be able to keep up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, go to your first one, and then we'll give you a pizza dough or something to soak up some of that antacid sitting around in the bottom of your stomach, and then let's go after it round 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember doing that many times.
Yeah.
Round 2.
That's a part of it. Unfortunately, that's a part of it. And for those of you listening or watching this podcast that can't relate to that, God bless you. I mean, you are the blessed ones. You are the fortunate ones. It is not with great pride that people come into this studio and share these stories. It's with the desire that they'll be able to help somebody. And every one of these programs somehow reaches out and helps someone. I was telling these guys earlier, I got a multi-page email this morning from somebody who heard something we said on our national show yesterday, and it just touched her. And it's that DNA being transferred. It's that message that goes out and that our Creator grabs and helps somebody else with.
I just want to say something. Sarah said that she started around 13. Mm-hmm. Your chances of becoming an alcoholic are greater when you start around 13, the earlier you start.
Really?
Research shows, yeah. So,
Sarah, so you get out of high school. Was college in your picture?
Yes.
Where'd you go to?
I went to Iowa State.
Iowa State, not Iowa.
Correct. Okay. I wanted to go to Iowa, but my parents wouldn't let me because they had a lot of friends whose kids did go to Iowa and flunked out from partying.
Right.
Oh, that's why I wouldn't let my son go there.
Really?
Same thing.
Yep.
Well, exactly. I don't mean to change the subject, but some big magazine today declared Iowa was once again the #1 party school in the nation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all over the headlines. All right. So thinking they would protect their dear little daughter, Sarah, from the horrible demons of alcoholism, you went to Iowa State.
Correct.
How'd that work?
There's alcohol in Ames, Iowa.
Right.
A lot of it.
Visha, as I recall. Mm-hmm. So what was college like for you? Did you finish?
Yes, I finished in 4 years.
Good.
My grades weren't the best. They were, my grade average was 2.75. But I felt like I could play hard and work hard. So I worked during college, but I always worked in bars, so I could drink while I was working. Mm-hmm. And again, it just seemed like the social norm. Like I didn't think at that time that I was out of the ordinary. I thought everyone wanted to drink as much as I wanted to, as frequently as I wanted to.
And share with me some times when you realized that maybe that wasn't true. Maybe that wasn't so.
It was probably towards the end of my college career where, people were really buckling down and studying for finals, and they could go a few weeks without drinking. I never could. I was starting at that point, starting my daily drinking habits.
Okay. Was that daily drinking from a bar or restaurant, or did you get to the point where you had it in your home or dorm or sorority room or wherever you were?
At that point, it was a bar or restaurant. It was very socialized
Okay.
for me.
So you'd go out every day.
Yes.
Was it blackout drunk by the end of the night?
Yes.
God loves the fact that you're here today.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Well, yeah, but you also, well, we'll get to that part of the story. You also figured it out. You have been in enough 12-step meetings with me that sometimes I get perturbed when the other people are called normies, when we're the ones that, for whatever reason, discovered our character defects and tried to fix them and asked for forgiveness and made our amends. I think sometimes we're the ones that are blessed the most.
You know, it's hard when you're in the middle of a group and your world is everybody, you're attracted to what you are. So if as an alcoholic, I was always attracted to, I still am attracted to alcoholics and to other wild, crazy people. So to decipher that I'm an alcoholic among this group, because you don't have a norm, you know, it's just you're attracted to everyone that's like you. So there's a whole other set of people at Iowa State or wherever you are that aren't drinking, but I never knew them.
Right.
Didn't want to know them.
Yeah.
I wanted to be around the wild, crazy people.
And you probably labeled them. What's the word? Profiled them as people that you didn't want to spend any time with because they were in church and they never drank and you never
They
saw
were
them
goody
out.
two
And they
shoes.
got
I didn't have
goody
anything. Didn't have anything in common with them. But I was comparing myself to people that I had attracted. So I wasn't different than them.
Right. Yep.
What kind of people were you attracted to in college when you were drinking?
People that partied like I did. People who did recreational drugs. People who kind of lived an alternative lifestyle, not in the way of sexuality per se, but, a lot of deadheads, a lot of just kind of a subculture. Maybe.
What was the acceptable social drug in your college days?
Definitely pot, but,
Okay.
There was a lot early in my social days or in my college days, LSD and mushrooms were big.
Okay.
There was a little coke, but not really.
Yeah, and meth, of course, hadn't been even
No.
discovered yet.
No.
Okay.
No meth.
So you get the degree,
I did.
change the tassel from one side to the next.
I did. Yep.
What's the next step?
I moved to Minneapolis to pursue a job. I moved up there without a job. I had a high school friend that had been living up there. She hadn't gone to college, so she'd been living up there since high school. And she and myself and a third roommate moved into an apartment, and I spent the next probably 2 months looking for a job.
I somehow I see Mary Tyler Moore on the street corner throwing up your hat.
Yeah.
And so, what was it like finally being away from home? Because Iowa State isn't really far from home when you're born and raised in Des Moines. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. I didn't go home that often, though, when I was at Iowa State. Being away from home didn't really feel that much different, except I didn't have the financial cushion that I had while in college. I mean, my parents were willing to help me out if I asked, but it was really expected that I, support myself and make
So when
my
you
own
moved
money.
to Minneapolis, did you move with some savings that you had acquired all on your own to live on?
That summer, I waitressed and had, $5,000 saved up to live on for a while. Mm-hmm.
So what was the first career job that you got?
The first career job was it was a recession also at that time.
Give me a year.
It was 91.
91, okay.
And so it was really hard to find a job, especially straight out of school. So I started working through Manpower, a temporary employment agency, and I got a job at a neurology clinic by Abbott Northwestern Hospital.
But what was your major that you were? What job were you seeking? A writer or an editor?
I was an English major at Iowa State, so I wanted something either even in journalism.
Teaching degree?
I did not get my teaching degree.
Yeah.
Right.
But you were qualified to get one, I would imagine.
Yeah, I actually started out with my major with secondary education as part of my major, but they had changed the criteria for graduation or, the classes that you needed to take, and it would have added on an extra semester to my college career, so I dropped the education part of it.
So Sarah's out on her own, out of college in Minneapolis, living with girlfriends, and the alcoholism Where is it? Does it raise its ugly head again? Does it get worse? Does it impact her career? We'll hear more of her story next, live on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
The dawn of a new era begins.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
It's the 5th day of August in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is A View from the Pew, right here on Recovery Monday on 99.3 KTIA, powered by webcast1live.com. Tomorrow, if my calendar tells me correct, Matt Whitaker, running for Senator Harkin's seat, will be here with Tom Coates and I, and we will be discussing his candidacy and what he thinks needs to be done in Washington. Prior to that, a special edition of Mac's World as we look at racism in Iowa. How can we fix it? We know the problems. They're all around us. Whether you've got your head buried in the sand or whether you're completely aware of racism in front of you, in back of you, at your workplace, at your church, in your neighborhood. What can we do to change that? That'll be the conversation from 1:30 to 2:30 here tomorrow live on webcast1live.com. My guest today is Sarah. You're not going to see Sarah's image. She has asked to remain anonymous. I hope that you trust me enough to know that she is who she says she is. She has every right to her anonymity. That's a tough word. And so, but she is who she said she is, and she's here to tell her story. So, graduate from high school in Des Moines, move to go to Iowa State, move to Minneapolis. You're 21, 22. Where's your alcoholism at this point? Are we still drinking daily?
Yes, definitely daily. Mm-hmm.
And what is your drink of choice at that time?
At that time, I was very weight conscious, and I definitely had an eating disorder. And so I was drinking vodka. I drank Citron and soda. That was my drink of choice.
All right. Now, the weight conscious thing. So, in other words, you weren't drinking beer, you weren't drinking heavy liqueurs because you thought that would add weight to you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You said you had an eating disorder. Did that develop into anything that was something you had to deal with?
Well, I think it started when I was still at Iowa State, and I was taking pink hearts or white crosses, whatever I could to stay up speed. And as I was doing that, I wasn't doing that to lose weight, but as I took them more and more, I started getting feedback from friends. You look great. What are you doing? Are you running? And so I really kind of started feeding on that, positive reinforcement, I thought. And so by the time I moved to Minneapolis, I was waking up and taking 6 pink hearts a day, and then 6 pink hearts at lunch, and then probably 12 to 20 pink hearts at night.
Wow.
And drinking
Your
heavily.
heart rate must have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And drinking heavily. Did you find yourself buzzed most of the time you were awake?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What was going on back home with mom and dad? Are they aware that you're in this lifestyle? Are they blinded by it? Are they in denial?
I remember my dad, when I was at Iowa State, picking me up one time to take me to my sister's graduation in Omaha. And so we were in the car together alone for 2 hours. And I had been out partying heavily the night before. And he said, you might want to watch your drinking. We have alcoholism in the family. And that's really the only thing that he said. And then I do remember my mom one other time. I was back. My mom had stopped drinking at this point. She had had some health problems. And so when I was back from Minneapolis one time for a visit, she said, she gave me some sort of warning about, drinking just doesn't affect you while you're drinking. There's long-term repercussions, like the next day, how hard things are to do when you're hungover and that sort of thing. It just all around makes your life more difficult, was kind of her warning to me.
Is your family still with you, your mom and dad?
No.
No, both of them passed away?
My dad's alive. My mom passed away.
Okay. Was it alcohol related?
Yes.
When that, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but I do want to say, when that happened, was that a wake-up call for you?
It was, in a way. By the time that she passed away, I knew that I was alcoholic. I knew I didn't drink like most people.
Okay.
I had become pretty isolated. And when she passed away, I thought to myself, well, that will never happen to me because I have a full-time job. So rather than stay at home and drink all day, I need to be at work 40 hours a week, and that will be my saving grace. That's how I really kind of told myself I was.
Well, it made complete sense.
Yeah.
It is the river in Egypt called denial, but it made sense to us.
Right.
How many people, Lila, do you see come through treatment who say, I couldn't have a problem. I work full time. I take care of my kids. I go
100%.
to church. About 100%.
Or our addictive minds will tell us anything so we can continue to drink.
Yeah. So when did you get your first career job?
I stayed in Minneapolis 3 years and just struggled with this kind of administrative assistant type of job at the clinic, the neurology clinic. So I moved back here, and I would say I got my first career job in '95.
With Meredith?
No, here in Des Moines at an insurance company.
Okay. So you never pursued your writing or your...
It worked out eventually to be a type of writing, but more technical writing within... an IT department within an insurance department, but never creative writing or any type of publication.
Alcohol continues to be a major part of your life?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Any serious relationships at all down this line?
Mm-hmm. I was married and divorced at the age of 29. The marriage lasted less than a year.
Okay.
Alcohol played a big part in that marriage and its demise. The person that I married was a big drinker as well.
Because you had that in common. Why not? You had fun together, right?
Absolutely. We were party buddies. But it went downhill very quickly.
Any signs before you walked down the aisle that this could be a problem?
Absolutely.
But you just ignored it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry that happened.
That's okay.
That's I always say, well, I've made mistakes before, and I name off the date of my first marriage, November 3rd, 1979, because I can remember standing on the altar. It's about 10 minutes after 11 on a Saturday morning, thinking, I got to get out of here. This is not going to work. There's no way this is going to work. But
I wonder how many people really think that. I bet a lot.
I think a lot of people think it, but I think the question is how many people were right.
Yeah.
Did it end up that way? And I don't mean what do they call that? Self-professing, future, whatever. Bob, what's that called?
Prophecy?
Yeah. What, self-prophesying? Okay. Man of so many words. But I just think that there were people who, when they got married, they didn't marry for the right reason, and they knew it was short-term.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Thank you, Father Tattoo. Self-fulfilling prophecy. There we go. All right. So you get out of the marriage. No children.
Right.
Get out of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking slows down at that point, right? Because you realize...
No, quite the opposite. Okay. My isolation, became a lot easier. And then I felt like I had fuel to justify my drinking. So when the divorce ended, I moved into an apartment by myself. And that's really when my daily drinking, I started that routine of going to work, leaving work, stopping to get 2 bottles of wine, going home, drinking the bottles of wine, and then repeating the whole cycle the next day.
Any drinking in the morning or drinking at noon?
No.
Not yet?
No. Mm-mm.
Not yet. All right. So you're 31, 32 at this time.
Right.
And living here in Des Moines, having a good job. Jump us ahead until when you discovered that you had a problem.
I made the mistake of getting married a second time.
Okay.
So about 4 years later, I again met somebody that drank like I did, and that's really the only kind of prerequisite I was looking for in a mate. And
breathing and drank a lot.
Good sense of humor, but you have to drink.
Exactly. And my mom was sick at this time, and we didn't know why she was sick. We just knew that she was having some serious health problems. And she and my dad weren't being forthright with us as to what was wrong with her. My sister finally broke down the doctor enough to give us what her diagnosis was and what her prognosis was. And it was cirrhosis of the liver. And at that time, she had 3 months to live. So like a selfish alcoholic, I decided it would be smart of me to get married before she passed away so she could be part of my marital event.
Now, you said at one point she stopped drinking.
Yes.
Did she keep drinking?
When I was a senior in high school, she stopped drinking.
For good?
We thought for good. The family thought for good. She had ended up in the ER with internal bleeding. But it was not, again, disclosed to us that it was for drinking. My parents actually told me she had eaten too much popcorn. And when she got released from the hospital, was told she could no longer eat popcorn. And I believed it. Denial runs deep. And so...
So your father covered up.
Yeah.
Okay. When was this? When did that happen? How many years after she had quit?
She passed away 15 years after she quit. But
she didn't really quit.
Well, we think she quit for a long time. We saw a complete change in her lifestyle. She dropped a bunch of weight, was really healthy, started baking. Her quality of life just turned around, and she seemed really, truly happy. Probably for, I would say, 8 years. And then looking back, I remember her brother had passed away from alcoholism, and she took that death really hard. And if I had to guess, I think it was around that time she probably started drinking again.
And for those of you who are just sitting at home going, you don't have to drink. You can choose something else. I mean, at night, there's times when I, want to have a half a beer or something, but I choose not to because I know it's not healthy. You're not an alcoholic. You don't have the disease or the sin, whatever you want to call it, of alcoholism. And if you ever got to know an alcoholic, you would realize that it's not by choice. It is an allergic reaction to alcohol, which drives us to want to have more. It's the only disease that when we bite into the horrible, tasty, nasty, bitter bug, we ask for a whole plate more of those delicious cockroaches because we just want to eat more. I know it doesn't make sense. It's just the way God made us. All right, so mom passes away. And what impact does that have? Well, you decide to get married again so she could be a part of the wedding.
Right.
Once again, looking back, not the right thing to do?
Not the right thing to do.
Okay.
No.
How long did that marriage last?
About 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Right.
Were you blessed with children?
No.
No. Okay. And how did that marriage end?
Well, after she passed away, I dealt with it or coped with it through drinking. And so even though my spouse at the time drank heavily and maybe had alcoholic tendencies, it's not for me to judge. But it just was a recipe for disaster. And I became, I think, or I turned out to be, not what he expected in a spouse. And I was depressed and I was drunk a lot and I wasn't happy in my job. And that just put a huge strain on the marriage.
What kind of drunk were you at this time? Because my guess is you're now 35 at this picture.
Right.
Okay. Were you a happy drunk? Were you a depressed drunk? Were you an isolated drunk? Were you a horny drunk? What kind of drunk?
I was a very depressed and angry drunk. I
Angry.
got very mean when I drank. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Words, physical action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lila, don't laugh. You're the one that admitted you were the horny drunk.
I know. I'm proud of it.
All right. So Sarah's 35, and she's beginning to face life at life's own terms through alcoholism and depression, anger, hate, sadness, despair are the regular characteristics of her life. Where will it go from here? Well, because she's sitting here. She got well through a 12-step program, through some incredible counseling and rehab at Powell CDC, and we'll share with you how she got there and what her life is like now. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Tomorrow, right here, Matt Whitaker, candidate for the U.S. Senate under Tom Harkin's position and seat. What is his plan and how can he make Iowa a better place to live? Tomorrow, live here on The View from a Pew on 99.3 KTIA Iowa, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the Home Comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's gotta be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's the 5th day of August in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and welcome to Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC. If you find you or someone in your family is in need of help from a hurt, habit, and hang-up, perhaps alcohol-related, perhaps illegal drug use, perhaps prescription drug abuse, which is the largest area growing in the abuse world, in the recovery world, call Lila. Get a hold of somebody up at Powell CDC. They don't come after you with little white coats and jump you in the back of the wagon with the siren running down the street. They listen. And then they listen some more. And then when you're done talking, they're still listening. Because they want to know what you think your identity should be. Who are you? Who did your God create you to be? And how can you become that person once again? It's a great place to go if you need help. If you don't need help, you know somebody who does, give them a call at Powell CDC. It's all confidential, and they'll help you. All right. Lila's in the house, the former Rockette from Las Vegas. Short-lived career, but enjoyable, I take it?
You know, that wouldn't be a bad career change. I always dance, so.
There you go. Whenever one of my co-hosts is gone, we always find someplace interesting to go. Last time you were... I believe you were in Russia trying to get Snowden to turn himself in, and you were using all your diplomatic immunity ideas.
Yeah, and I still had time to call into the show and contribute.
Yeah, you did. That's right. Sarah is our guest today. She wishes to visually remain anonymous, and so we hope that you respect that. She is a professional in our community. She is a huge person inside of the 12-step programs when it comes to service and helping other people. But when it comes to public, that's why they call it anonymous. And we respect that here. So you are 35 at this time.
Right.
And you have now ended a second marriage.
Correct.
No children.
Correct.
Your mom, when did you know your mom passed from alcohol-related symptoms?
We knew about 6 months before she actually passed.
Okay.
That was.
What impact did that have on your drinking? Because at this point, you're a blackout drunk 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm. It increased my drinking, if that's even possible. But
sure.
I feel, looking back at any tragedy I had in my life, so to speak, was just more reason for me to feel sorry for myself and drink more.
That was how you were coping.
Yeah, that's how I coped.
Soothing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
The lady that I know is not a drama queen. Were you a drama queen when you were drunk?
I had a lot of self-sympathy, but I don't know that I was a drama queen.
Okay, and what I mean by drama queen is you would suck everybody else into your problems so your problems wouldn't seem so bad.
Yeah, I probably was at the opposite end of the spectrum.
Okay.
I probably just, had a flat affect and didn't want people involved in my issues.
Business.
Right, business.
But you're working.
Right.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good career.
Mm-hmm.
Work has no idea.
No.
No OWIs?
I did. During that 4-year marriage, I did get an OWI, yes.
All right, but work coped with that just fine?
Yeah, I had a work permit. And as far as I knew, only my direct manager knew who had to sign my work permit.
What did that OWI feel like?
It felt extremely shameful. It was at the point where my marriage started to demise, and my husband was actually out of town at the time, and it was the day after St. Patrick's Day, and it was after an all-day bender on St. Patrick's Day. I had St. Patrick's Day that year is on a Thursday, and so I had Friday off of work. So it was one of those days where I rolled out of bed in my pajamas and popped open a bottle of wine and started drinking that day. And towards 5 o'clock, when I had friends getting off of work, I started getting the calls and text messages to meet them out at a bar. And I decided I'd shower and sober up and drive to meet them at a bar. And I ended up rear-ending another car on my way.
Handcuffed in the back of a police car.
Correct.
Put in the orange jumpsuit.
Yes.
Little number held in front of you.
Right.
Hate it when that happens.
Yeah, me too.
What was it a badge of honor among your friends? Or did they ever know?
My close-knit group of friends knew. Unfortunately, what I thought it was at the time was an excuse for my husband at the time to divorce me. My drinking had spiraled out of control at this time, and I think he was just waiting for more reason to justify a divorce. And so that's really what was the straw that broke the camel's back. I got my OWI, and within a month he had filed for divorce. Yep.
So jump us ahead now to the moment or the point or the action or the experience you had that made you realize I need help or I'm going to die.
After my divorce, I moved into a condominium, and at the time, I remember thinking, I don't drink like other people, but that's okay. But this is what I do, and I want to be happy, and I don't want to have to live to please somebody else. So I tried to become okay with my lifestyle, with drinking every day. And what then happened was great isolation, great depression. Probably about 3 years into living by myself after my divorce, I just remember never feeling happy. The thought occurred to me like, am I ever going to feel joy again? It had been so long, I couldn't remember what it was like. And I didn't know.
Were you dating at all during that time?
I had put on a bunch of weight from sitting on my couch and drinking wine like I did. So I was about 60 pounds overweight, and very shameful of it. I think a part of me was in denial. But no, if I did go out to socialize with friends, it would just be for a cocktail or two after work, and then I would go straight home so I could drink the way I wanted to drink.
Yeah, you could really, then you could start drinking.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing a lot of socializing with friends outside.
And let me make a point for those of you who are listening, who are trying to understand alcoholism because you're affected by it, probably not by your own hurt, habit, or hang up, but by someone else, a family member, a loved one. People always ask, well, how do you know you're an alcoholic? Well, there is no spot answer. But one of the answers might be that when most people say, I've had enough, I'm feeling a little tipsy here, and they quit, an alcoholic goes, okay, there's that feeling, I'm ready to lose control. And you got smart enough, and I did this very same thing, you go home. Because you can't seriously drink out there because nobody will understand, you'll get mad, you can't drive. I remember my last DUI was 7 years before I went into a 12-step program, and I swore I'd never drink and drive again, and I never did. Never had a sip of alcohol and got behind the wheel. I would go home and do it there. And that's what we do.
Exactly.
So 3 years, you said about 3 years. You're overweight, depressed, job's okay, no social life. What was the tipping point?
It continued on like that for, if you can believe it or not, a few more years. And the tipping point, my trigger, or I forget what they call it at Powell, but my force that got me into treatment really was a fall. It was, I was at a public establishment downtown, a bar/restaurant, and blacked out and fell and hit my head and was unconscious. And so 911 was called and the paramedics came. I was still unconscious. They put they rolled in a stretcher, gurney, whatever, into the restaurant and put me on the gurney. And I came to at that point. My blood pressure was something like 210 over 190. They didn't know if I had any bleeding from the fall in my skull. So I went to Methodist. They did a CT scan, determined that there was no internal bleeding, and they released me to the care of some friends that were supposed to watch over me for 24 hours, which really that meant at 9 o'clock the next morning we went out and started drinking again. Yeah. But as a result of that, I got huge black eyes. Both of my eyes were huge. I looked awful, and it was scary for me, and I couldn't go into work, and actually went into Chicago to visit some family.
So that's the moment that it began to sink in to Sarah that maybe I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. For her, it came with a physical, what's the word I want? Motivation. That she had now hurt herself to the point where she didn't look good. And she realized how she was harming the inside as well as the outside. The rest of her story next, live here on Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
I'm Michael Libby. I'm the host of Insight on Business, the News Hour. We're seen live at 8:45 each Monday morning at Webcast One Live or whenever you want on my blog or on the internet. So what qualifies me to talk about advertising, marketing, and consumer trends? Well, it's my business. Insight Advertising, Marketing, and Communications has helped dozens of companies, small, medium, and large, learn how to use advertising correctly. And we pass that information on to you each and every week.
Hi, I'm Doc. You listen to me every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Doc and Lefty radio podcast program, where we discuss all the relevant topics of the day, including state, local, and national politics. My partner in crime, Lefty, often likes to have a little bit of conservative justice served upon him. So please turn in for the fireworks every week from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays at webcastonelive.com. Thank you.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that.
It's the 5th day of August in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy. The end of the road for Sarah here in Recovery Monday. This was 21 months ago, taken to the hospital, fallen down, drunk, unconscious. You get out and you never drink again, right? Because you're smart and you knew at that point that was... No?
No, I started drinking the next morning at 9 o'clock as soon as the bar opened.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you quit within about a week.
Within a week, yes.
What was the motivation? What happened?
It was right before the Thanksgiving holiday, and excuse me, unbeknownst to me, my family at this point had been well aware of my drinking problem and had started talking amongst themselves about having an intervention. When after Thanksgiving, I went on another bender. Somehow my brother came over. He was concerned about my head injury from my fall. At least that's how he prefaced it. And excuse me, took me back to the emergency room at Methodist. And it was there that the ER doctor pulled up a chair in the exam room and said, "Are you done?" And I looked at him and said, "Done with what?" And he said, "Are you done drinking?" And that's all it took. I was done, and I didn't know how to ask for help. I just didn't know what to do. So when he asked that question, and I knew in my heart I was done, he gave me information about Powell CDC. I just stopped drinking that next day, and about 3 days later had an evaluation and entered treatment about 7 days after that ER visit.
Outpatient or inpatient?
Outpatient.
Okay, so you maintained a work schedule during the day.
Right.
And then went to Powell at night. What was the biggest thing you got? 4 weeks, I'm assuming, at Powell?
Yes.
What was the first thing you remember about at Powell in which you went, oh, this is different than I thought. This is okay.
I was scared to death to be labeled an alcoholic. I was scared to death, to have anyone know that it had gotten to the point that I was at treatment. And just feeling shame and self-hatred. And my first night at Powell, I went in to meet with my counselor, Dee Hummel, and the very first thing Dee said to me is, it's not your fault, don't you? And that was just like the biggest weight taken off my shoulders, to know that really I didn't have to take all the blame. I definitely had to take ownership in my actions, but that I had a disease and I needed to treat it like a disease and you seek treatment and have active treatment and be active within my treatment. But that was the very first light bulb that had gone off. And then to find other people within my treatment program that had the same story I did. We all had the same story. And when you drank like I did, you really felt like you were the only one, that jumped through these crazy hoops to hide your drinking from the world. And when you find a group of people that all can identify with each other, that was, the fellowship that I needed.
So you got out, you started a 12-step program.
Correct.
You got a sponsor.
Right.
Same sponsor today as then?
No, I've since have a new sponsor.
Graduated on? You completed the 12 steps?
Yeah, I am at step 11.
Okay.
I guess.
You're
technically.
basically there.
Yes.
Because you're doing community service by being on this program. So congratulations.
Thank
you
you.
just passed 12 step. You want to give her the holy water thing that says you've done it? Ding.
She does more than that, though. She's on the board, and she's helped a lot of people.
Yeah, yes, you have. You've helped a lot of people by simply being here. So, Sarah, there's somebody listening, and they have very quietly related to most of what you've said, but they are still consumed by fear. They haven't fallen down yet. Their brother hasn't come over and said, gee, maybe we ought to go to the hospital.
Right.
What's your advice for them?
That, I'll address the anonymous part because that was a huge fear of mine. I just didn't want the world to know. And, it's sacred. It really is that if you get into a 12-step program, people in there are in there for the same reasons, and they respect your privacy and your anonymity. And then just the fellowship. It makes it so much easier to face and to address and work through when you know that you are completely welcomed by this group of people that have the exact same problems and have done the same things you have done. And then, again, the fellowship. I've never met a more accepting community of people, non-judgmental, supportive. I was blown away that there was such human kindness out there.
Non-judgmental and supportive, but with standards.
Correct.
Because you would have thought if you were going to describe a group of people that supported you that you'd say was non-judgmental and supportive, that it was anything goes. That was the folks you drank with, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's so I thought.
I mean, that was one of my discoveries, is this non-judgmental, very supportive group had standards. I remember my sponsor telling me, now, if you got an urge to drink, call me. But if you drink, don't you dare call me till you're sober. And I thought, what? I'm going to get smashed, and then I'm going to call my sponsor, and these men are going to come over to my house and sit around, and they're going to put ice cubes on my forehead, and they're going to make me feel better. And Phil said, no, you drink, you're on your own. When you sober up, then you call me. And those are the standards that they have, that we have, that I have within my program that also sits within yours.
Well, have you ever tried talking to a drunk? I mean, that's the main reason.
Yes.
You just don't talk to them. You wait till the next morning.
I completely understand that. I completely understand that. All right, Sarah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very much for being here. We may know the person whose life you made a difference in today. Sometimes they contact us and will specify a certain show or a certain guest, or it may be just something that you'll have to believe within your heart that the service work you did today was beneficial to somebody's.
Well, thank you for
somebody's
the opportunity.
daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's sister,
I hope so.
somebody. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, Lila. Who's our guest next week? Do you know?
I think Mike Eden's another counselor.
Okay, good.
He has a wild story.
Does he? Love those
Absolutely.
stories. Bob, when are you going to share your alcoholic stories with us?
I can't personally. I can always talk about my father and all my uncles.
Yeah, it's interesting. His father and all of his uncles were pathetic drunks, but have you ever even taken a sip of alcohol?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
yeah.
you never had any issues?
No, never. Nor my brother, nor my sister, nor my kids.
Well, and then there's Father Tattoo. Have you stopped beating your wife yet?
I never started.
No, I know you didn't. By the way, speaking of that bride of yours, she's got to be almost 9 months, right?
Less than 45 days away.
Okay, and do we know if it's a girl or boy?
It's a girl.
Oh, good. You ought to name her Mackenzie, because then you can just call her Little Mac.
Oh.
I'll get right on that.
I bet you will. All right. Thank you very much for taking the time and joining us today. As we've said before, we do believe that these stories that are shared on Recovery Monday and the other programs that we have on this channel and all other channels across the country are a ministry. They are our way of sharing how God works within other people's lives in hopes that you'll hear just one nugget of wisdom that will help you grow in your relationship with your greater power, whether his name be God or Jesus or just your greater power. We don't care. To get into recovery, you need to believe in something beyond yourself, something that you know you can turn to that will not fail you, that will not run from you, that will not shame you or guilt you. I don't know whether you know this, but the God of your understanding loves you just as you are every single day, forgives you for the things that you do wrong every single day, and will never leave you, will never abandon you, and will never betray you. That's the God of your understanding. Tonight, pray to him or her and ask them to come into your life. Until then, see you tomorrow live here on KTIA Iowa, powered by webcast1live.com.